Admiral William McRaven is a former commander of the US Special Operations Command. When he was at Naval Postgraduate School, he wrote his thesis on the theory of special operations, which actually later went on to become the book Spec Ops. In that thesis, he developed the 6 core principles that make special operations successful, and he focused a lot on purpose, which he said had 2 very important levels. For McRaven, purpose in special operations meant, number 1, having a clear and specific sense of what the ambition is, and then number 2, an explicit need for personal commitment. He believes it is the leader's role both to communicate a clear sense of the ambition and to elevate the emotional commitment to it within the team. You did something similar when you were working for Topsy?
Yeah, so Topsy was a charity that we looked after in the agency. They had a small office in the building, and each year we would do a campaign for them as a pro bono project. And the charity was primarily involved with orphans. It was an orphanage supporting organization. And over time, as the AIDS pandemic became more and more of a problem, there were obviously more and more AIDS orphans. And so the charity then became involved in doing work in the field with people with AIDS more than actually with children, because they were trying to stop the flow of people dying. And they created all these clinics. They said, well, we need a new campaign, but actually it's not an appeal for children so much. We're kind of in the business of trying to save people with AIDS. And every year when we would do these campaigns, the teams would come in with these ideas going, we're going to win an award with this one, and we've got this crazy idea for this, because it's a pro bono, you can do whatever you like. And I felt like this is actually the time when we should be more responsible than ever when we're dealing with people's lives. It's not about winning awards at all. It's about actually helping the situation. And the only way you're really going to get beneath the surface of what the problem is by getting out into the field and seeing what they're actually doing, because it's a totally different world to what they've been doing in the past. And they were like, okay, and people went off into these really interesting places where there were really big problems with AIDS in Africa. And they came back with eyes wide open, like amazed at what they'd seen. And they came to me and they said, we've got the idea. When we were in one of the clinics, one of the doctors told us about what they're doing, which they're calling the Lazarus effect, which is bringing people back to life. People would come in as almost in corpse-like states, emaciated, almost dying, and they were bringing them back to life. And it was the very early stages of antiretroviral drugs that were taking shape, and people couldn't believe that if you had AIDS, you could actually survive. So they said, this is what we need to show people, that you can actually live, because what was happening as soon as people got AIDS, they would just go off and die and accept it as, that's what's going to happen. And huge amounts of orphans resulted because of that. They said, what we want to do is film somebody recovering. It takes about 3 months to go from almost near dead to being healthy using ARVs. But then what we want to do is play the film in reverse and basically say that the effects of AIDS can be reversed. So it starts off with someone looking healthy, and they get sicker and sicker until they look like they're really dying. And then what we show you, there's a little hint right at the end of the film that shows that it's actually been running in reverse. And this brilliant line, which is the effects of AIDS can be reversed. The power of that simple film was immense. What happened is millions of people who saw it suddenly realized that they didn't have to go back to a village and die when they got AIDS. They could actually get treated. And as a result, Topsy was inundated with people with AIDS rather than inundated with orphans who they were then helping. And for once, advertising actually really did save people's lives. It was amazingly enriching to be part of that.
It was dark when I found you. I'll build you a house in the oak tree outside, and you can come back whenever you'd like. Don't be frightened, I'll set you up right, 'cause everyone needs somebody sometime. I'll leave the light on so you know I'm at home, and you can come in. You won't be alone. Don't be scared of the night, 'cause I'll fix you up right. 'Cause everyone needs somebody sometime. Sometime.
Well, as you've alluded to, advertising perhaps doesn't have the best rep, depending on who's doing the advertising. But looking at your body of work, like very, very wholesome messages, a lot of compassion for humanity in your work. Like if you look at the Dove campaign, that's a very wholesome message that helps to reverse some of the harmful effects of advertising. The Topsy campaign, obviously, tremendous compassion for humanity. Even your Expedia work, that's like a really positive message. Is that like a requirement for you? If a client wants to work with Agit8media, do you kind of look for opportunities to project a positive, wholesome message? And if you can't do that, do you like walk away from the project? Like, is that something that you are very conscious of whenever you're accepting work, or whenever you're looking at prospective clients?
I think when you're born with a surname Human, you often don't have a choice to go down this path of helping humans. Human by name, feral by nature, I sometimes say. But what I've learned creating lots and lots of advertising is it's actually the campaigns that touch nerves of people in a real way, that affect people because they can see their own lives in the work somehow, or they can relate to the insight, as opposed to so much of what the world of advertising is a contrivance, because most of the time it's about some sort of product story that's saying this thing will do this thing and make life better because of that. Well, it won't even tell you it'll make life better. It'll just tell you about the thing. And so it seems to just gloss over how that thing affects people's lives and what sort of role it plays in their life. Whereas actually, whenever you get beneath the surface and you get involved with people's lives and you're able to get the brand to tell a story of why it exists and have a, as you say, have a purpose in the world, those ideas are way more successful